Hey Yardminers, Matthew here. Today I'm going to be answering questions that are commonly asked. I hope it helps you gain some insight about what I do and what I'm helping teach others to do.
Fake records.
Why is it important to recycle e-waste?
Well, generally we want to be able to reroute and reuse metals. Metals can be recycled infinite amounts of time, copper, aluminum. There's no better thing to recycle. It beats cardboard, it beats plastic, it beats glass, anything else. So just out of that principle alone, with commodities, you should focus on the ones that are recyclable in an infinite way. As far as what's in e-waste, there's some pretty harmful stuff in there.
How much e-waste is generated in the U.S. each year?
So roughly around 6.9 metric tons are generated in the U.S. alone for e-waste.
What hazardous materials are commonly found in e-waste?
We deal mostly with mercury, lead, and cadmium. That's what we see the most common.
What happens to e-waste after it is collected?
So that's a great question because most people think it's kind of like a magic trick where they drop off their laptop and poof, it disappears. But a lot goes into what happens to that laptop. And depending on the item, it has different kind of streams it can go. We work with a lot of upstream buyers that buy whole units like laptops and cell phones and tablets where we actually don't do anything to. We fill up big boxes of them and then basically sell those boxes, and then they do the recycling with their machinery that they have invested in. As far as desktops and things that we do recycle here, we break them down. We reuse parts that are reusable, like RAM or heat sinks, motherboards, things that have a secondary life to it. And the things that don't have a secondary life, we basically collect and sell just like a commodity. Copper, aluminum, we sort and sell.
How are valuable materials recovered from e-waste?
Well, value is subjective in a lot of ways because you have the value of resellable items, you have the value of collectible items, and then you have the commodity value of like copper and aluminum. So essentially, how value is recovered depends on what value we're trying to recover. But for the most part, we're working in a commodities-based system, and we sort and separate. So the cleaner you can separate things, the higher price you're going to get for them.
What are the precious metals recovered from e-waste?
We get a lot of questions about, how much gold you can get out of things, and the answer is it's a significant amount, but it all revolves around volume. You need tons of material in order to get ounces and ounces and ounces of gold, palladium, and platinum. The things that we see the most are silver and gold, and then after that it's palladium and platinum. In the gold video I just posted, it took about 3 months to collect all the materials needed to get that around 2.5 ounces.
Are there any non-recyclable components of e-waste?
Yeah, unfortunately, plastics are a big issue in our industry. Plastics aren't really recyclable. People say that they are, or industries say they are, and there are certain types of plastic that can be regenerated and reused a couple times, but most plastics in e-waste are not recyclable. Essentially, they end up in a landfill. There are plastic buyers, but they won't really come out and buy your material until you're in the 10,000 pounds, and we just don't have that kind of space to be saving plastic. And most of it is honestly used for fuel. They burn it.
What roles do governments play in e-waste recycling?
Well, most municipalities and governments don't have the budget in order to deal with recycling. It's an expensive venture. So they are more and more leaning on the private sector, like Franklin eWaste and other companies in order to kind of take over these responsibilities. The fact is that there's only a couple of things that are worth recycling as far as profit goes. As far as saving the earth and doing the right thing, that's another conversation.
What are the economic benefits of e-waste recycling?
Well, the economic benefits of recycling is a big question, but with the lack of right to repair laws, stock prices are going to continue to go up for these manufacturers of TVs and computers because people don't fix them, so they're constantly buying new ones, and that is good for the economy. And when we recycle things and resell those commodities back to the market, that's good for our economy and our local economy. So the benefits can be felt on a multitude of levels. what would the benefits be if we had right to repair laws and people were fixing more of their things? That's yet to be determined.
What are the costs associated with e-waste recycling?
So most of my cost is associated with things that can't be recycled. Outside of insurance and gas for the truck and a truck payment, and if I'm helping, getting help from employees or anything like that, that's a large cost. But if we're just talking about materials, the biggest cost is the things that can't be recycled and getting rid of them responsibly.
How can I properly dispose of my e-waste?
Well, properly disposing of your e-waste means bringing it to a location that specializes in recycling electronics, like Franklin eWaste and other companies. If it goes into the trash can, it will go into the landfill. No one's going to take it out and do the right thing. Doing the right thing is very expensive when it comes to recycling. So you have to bring it to an appropriate place that knows what to do with it.
What are some ways to encourage businesses to recycle e-waste?
Well, businesses really just care about the bottom line. They may have in their brand statement how much they love the earth and how much they love doing the right thing, but when it comes down to the numbers, it has to make sense. So we try to make it as easy as possible to come in, get what they need done, get it done securely, and get it done at minimal cost.
What are some tips for reducing e-waste at home?
So everyone knows the term reduce, reuse, recycle, and unfortunately reducing is the hardest and most uncomfortable step of that formula. Most people don't like to do it. Most people like to buy what they want to buy. Most people want the new TV and want the new iPhone and want the new latest, and that's okay. So reducing is a tricky question. I actually don't have an opinion or advice in that regard. But I will say reducing is good for your bottom line as well. Not buying the latest iPhone, not buying the latest tablet is a great thing to do for just saving money and replacing batteries and going in and having things cleaned out like speakers, charging ports. Just little steps will really increase the life of your electronics and devices that you rely on every day.
How can blockchain technology improve e-waste recycling?
So I love the blockchain, and I really could talk about this all day. But the fact remains that blockchain technology in this industry is not being utilized right now. It just doesn't exist. It's mostly in the financial sector and then the logistics sector. But I do see tracking e-waste when we're shipping it to other countries or we have trade agreements with other countries. It's going to have to be tracked on a ledger that's immutable. And the blockchain is going to be a perfect solution for that when it comes.
What are some emerging markets for recycled e-waste materials?
Well, I would say the United States is an emerging market when it comes to e-waste. We are so behind on how to deal with this material. China is eating our lunch. They've been at it for such a long time that we're really learning from them on how to do things. Now, they do things a lot differently than we do. They don't have as many regulations, any kind of pollution kind of laws. They're starting to, now that they see what happens to certain sectors and water pollution. But the United States would be a very big emerging market.
What are the biggest challenges in e-waste recycling?
Well, there's a lot of challenges that need to be balanced every day, but you know, the thing that we find is the most challenging is finding the space, and in order to control the intake flow. This is a volume game. In order to make money, you need volume, so you need places to put it. You need to help prioritize things that sell better than things that are really just scrap materials, and know what to do with them and how much time to afford to those items.
What skills are needed to work in the e-waste recycling industry?
Well, I would say curiosity is the number one skill that you need, because it's impossible to know what every chip and what technology goes into every device. There's 1,000 different types of laptops, 1,000 different types of digital cameras. The list goes on and on. You can't know it all. So being curious about what goes into making certain devices, I think is the best skill that you can have. Other than being really good at tinkering and having that entrepreneurial mindset that pushes you to explore, to find buyers, to connect collectible materials with collectors, like vintage computers and things like that. Yeah, you need to be curious and you need to be aware.
What's the soundest advice you can give to people who want to yard mine?
Well, for people that want to do what I'm doing, which is essentially small scale e-waste for mid markets, is to choose whether you want to make fast nickels or slow dimes. In anything that comes through the door, you need to make a split decision. Is this something I want to take my time on, or is this something I want to get right back out the door and make money on? Okay, yard miners, I hope that helped. We're going to be going over more sourcing, sorting, and selling e-waste in the future, and if you have any questions, please put them in the comments. I will do my best to get to them. Be your best self in those comments as well. We want to keep it positive. Go forth and be profitable.